It's interesting how much of a wild ride Darling the Franxx has been for both the show and the anime community. In the show, we went from a straightforward dystopian plot to an M. Night Shyamalan-style alien twist. In the community, we went from loving it to hating it to fighting about it. But one thing I can't deny is that it challenged the way I thought and tested my faith in it with every episode. Anime has always been my go-to medium. I love how I can think back to any phase of my life and see that anime had a part in it, whether it was motivating me to grow, giving me something to talk about with friends, or just keeping me company on those seemingly endless summer days where all I had to worry about was finding the next anime to watch. And as I've grown older, my hobbies have stayed the same, but my perception has changed. I've come to realize that anime has always been about people. The people making it, the people watching it, and the people in it. For a long time, I'd rule out a whole anime based on its ending, no matter how good the majority of it was. But just as when we're younger, we're so impatient to grow up only to find ourselves longing for a return to those simpler days, I've learned the importance of savoring the journey and accepting that the journey doesn't require perfection, only the will to move forward. In episode 23, the focus was split between two relationships, one that became the ultimate symbol of love and trust, and the other which took the first step toward growing. Kokoro and Mitsuru represent the people that came before them, who had lost the notion of community, growth, and friendship. Even though they no longer have a past, they put their hopes in the future and building a better tomorrow. Their commitment to move forward and grow together as individuals becomes the first step for those that remain on Earth to follow. On the other hand, 02 and Hiro represent their commitment to be with each other. 02 chose to leave Earth after seeing that staying close to Hiro would just keep putting his life at risk. But now that Hiro affirms that this is what he chose, they get symbolically married, which is engraved into true apis as the crystallization of their bonds. What we get here are two types of relationships, those that lead the way and those that stay behind and lay the foundation. Both are essential for individuality because people have different paths and different roles that are meant to serve the rest of the community. Now in episode 24, we get another episode split between space and Earth, but this time with large amounts of time passing, capturing how far removed Squad 13's battle and Hiro and 02's battle had become from each other, but at the same time, how linked they still are. Even though they can't see or hear each other anymore, their memories of each other drive their lives forward. Squad 13 had chosen to fly with them, but Hiro and 02 grounded them, so they wouldn't have any other choice but to live out the lives they no longer could. Now Squad 13's role became to fight a different type of battle, to build a proper home for Hiro and 02's souls to find rest in. However, in order to build this home as a community, they now needed to find their own paths as individuals. We can see the stark difference in their lives as Ichigo and the squad grow older and go through change, while 02 and Hiro's lives now seem stagnant and unchanging. Feeling has become a distant memory for them. What remains is their commitment to their mission and to each other. This is captured so well with this moment.
僕らで星座作っちゃおうか。
星座を？
例えば、あの星とあの星を。残念。
They can't even fully enjoy a tranquil moment in each other's company before having to go into the next battle. We can see this clearly when Hiro is almost assimilated by Verm, because this life of battle has taken a toll on his body, and while he remembers the friends that he's fighting for, he no longer feels them. That's why it's so significant when he hears their voices. He's reassured of why he's fighting. While he's no longer truly living, he fights for them to live, for their future. At the same time, we can see Hiro and 02 continuing to live through them, as they follow in their footsteps and become pioneers for their community. We can see this first with Goro.
ヒロに負けてらんねえからな。
たまには連絡くらい。
The Goro who was hesitant to take the lead and stray too far from the group is now venturing out all over the world for the good of the others around him and the others to come. Ikuno uses her research to ensure the survival of the current adults who are still needed to guide the next generation. Zorome, the one who craved the limelight, becomes a teacher in order to pass on what Hiro taught him. And Futoshi passes on his love of food by baking delicious bread that the children will grow up eating, which will allow them to have a familiar comfort that'll always tie them back to their childhood. As humans, we build the foundation so others can keep growing it. However, when we've been given this foundation, how do we give back to those who have given it to us? We see the characters wrestling with this question in a few instances throughout the episode. The desire to give back is what helps humanity keep existing, because we don't live in a vacuum. We can only accomplish things by relying on each other. So we ask, what can we do to help each other? But before you can answer that question, first you must realize what you can do as an individual. Ichigo's answer was to continue to maintain the home that they'd built, an Earth that Hiro and 02 could come back to one day. Eventually, when the time is right, they return to a life free of adversity, free of fighting, with parents that care for them, and a clean slate. Something they never had the chance to experience, normal lives. This goes to show that Ichigo's efforts were not in vain. The reason we give is in the hope that our efforts will help someone else in the future. In the same way, even though they couldn't see the fruits of their labor, the Gion continued to be a symbol of togetherness for future generations. And once civilization had returned, the Gion's job was done and Hiro and 02's souls could now find rest. Zero Two and Hero weren't perfect, but their will to see their goals through to the end inspired others to action. And much in the same way, this show inspired me. It inspired me to tell you this. No journey is perfect, but that doesn't mean you're not allowed to find beauty in the imperfection. If you think it's the best anime, then it is. Don't let other people's distaste of the show ruin it for you. It doesn't matter what I think or what anyone else thinks. You don't have to conform to other people's standards. What matters is you continuing to enjoy what you enjoy, and not letting anyone take that away from you. That's what it means to walk your own path. As for me, it was never about what I thought, but if you really want to know, yeah, it was the best. And that was my final Darling the Franxx analysis. Stay tuned for our review video where Delph and I will discuss and rate the entire series. If you enjoyed this video, let us know by smashing that like button. If you'd like to stick around for our upcoming videos covering the summer anime season, hit that subscribe button, and once you do, ring the little bell next to it so you can be informed of when our next video goes up. And if you'd like to share your own thoughts on the final episode of Darling the Franxx, let us know in the comments below, cause after all, what do we know? We're just nerds.